1970 saving rivers. We got a Clean Water Act passed in 1972, and some of us who were working then thought, wow, in 5 or 10 years we'll have pollution cleaned up from our rivers and lakes. Wrong. We didn't realize what was going to go on. And so what's happened is that if you look at recent history now, we're 44 years into that law, we are still featuring about one grotesque water pollution incident a month, going back, say, to January of 2014, when Charleston, West Virginia's water supply was shut down. Then later that year, Toledo, Ohio. Then we're looking at Flint, Michigan. But I want to talk about what's going on right here on the Potomac River, Quantico Creek, and so forth. And these are actions perpetrated by Dominion Power. They are responsible for two major problems right now that I want to address. One is what they've been doing on Quantico Creek at Possum Point. They have been illegally discharging serious waste, toxins, from what they call coal ash ponds. I think the term pond is a little bit too generous. You think of a nice body of water with fish. It's more like a cesspool. This is full of all sorts of exotic ingredients, these coal cesspools of fly ash. And what's happened is they've denied that they were really doing anything very bad, and they denied it, discharging anything, but just 2 weeks ago they finally had to admit that they had been discharging over 33 million gallons of this crud right into Possum Creek, Quantico Creek. That flows right into the Potomac. So what's going on here is they've got a license to pollute. They went running to the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality, DEQ, and said, give us a permit to do this. Now these were very lax standards that they wanted, but David Paler, head of the DEQ, said, okay, green light. You have a license to pollute. This is a perfect example of license to pollute. So the Potomac River Keeper and our partner in this, Southern Environmental Law Center, are filing suit about what they did. Furthermore, we're calling for the national EPA to conduct a criminal investigation of the linkage between Virginia DEQ, David Paler, the director, and Dominion. And it's about time some of these people were held accountable and put in jail for refusing to see what's going on. And you could tell when Dominion Power denies that they were doing anything wrong. And that's what they did just a short while ago in the Potomac River. They spilled transformer oil, it's like heating oil, into the Potomac right there at the Pentagon National Airport, right next to the Roaches National Wildlife Refuge. It's a wild waterfowl sanctuary, and they denied they were doing anything wrong. But the Potomac River Keeper, we took samples, and the Coast Guard did. You know, one day, a few days ago, the Coast Guard had a press conference at 1 o'clock in the afternoon saying, here's what we found. And it matched what was coming out of Dominion's facility there in Northern Virginia. But Virginia, 2 hours later, does a press conference and denies any connection. Then the people got a hold of the information, and by 6 o'clock they had to retract their denial. This is the kind of utility that's going and doing business in the state. It's time that people dump Dominion and call for a real reform. And just go to the Potomac Keeper website or follow the action of the River Keepers on what's going on your rivers. Thank you all for being here. Dump Dominion.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Steven. I'll also be one of your MCs today, and I'll be helping out with the march. If you need anything along the way, you can look for me and ask me questions. Next up, I want to introduce Camille Spencer, and she's a member of the Virginia Student Environmental Coalition. And she's going to talk to us about the intersections of climate change and colonialism. So let's give her a round of applause, everyone.
Hello? Okay, you guys can hear me, right? Okay, how are you guys doing today? Like I said, or like he said, I'm going to be talking about the intersections of climate change and colonialism.
I think the megaphone works better.
Okay, is that better?
No.
It's not? Okay, I'm just going to keep going. It's fine. Climate change is economic injustice. For generations, white and wealthy individuals have profited off of stolen land, labor, and resources of people of color and marginalized people. Right now, our government values profit from the fossil fuel industry over human lives. It is a question of who has power now and who we want to have power in the future, profit or people. So the statement, climate change is colonialism, can be hard for some people to grasp. So I'm going to try to explain that a little bit today. When I say climate change is colonialism, what I'm saying is that you can't have one without the other. You can't have climate change without people taking land, taking resources from other people. You can't have it without people establishing themselves in places that they should not be. You see this happening to this day here in the United States. There are indigenous people that were here, quite frankly, before everyone else came over. And they had a different way of life and living here on this country, or in this land. So, the current acceleration of climate change is not only an unintentional consequence of industrialization. The climate has always been a project for colonial powers, which continuously acted to engineer it. I think a really good, tangible instance of where Dominion and other institutions, doing things that they shouldn't be doing and degrading the environment is what we're experiencing right now with Dominion trying to dump coal ash into these rivers and lakes. They're just like a small part of this whole system that's working against people and taking what they don't really have the right to have, and they're doing it without permission, like the man before me just said. They just dump all that coal ash in these rivers without permission because they don't have care for, environmental health and safety of us as a society, as a community, So, colonialism is described as the policy or practice of acquiring full or partial political control over another country, occupying it with settlers and exploiting it economically. You can see that happening, to this day all the time, all over this nation and globally. Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, a little bit louder. With bated breath we listen.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to say that, as I said before, climate change and colonialism are one of the same and they can't function without each other. Climate change is an effect of well-industrialized and, westernized societies taking resources and establishing themselves in other nations and countries and, marginalized communities that don't have a say in what happens. And it's not just people of color that are affected. Everyone is affected by it. Climate change is something that everyone is going to have to face one day. Or we're actually facing it right now, so that's basically what I have to say.
Thank you.
Before
Before we introduce the next speaker, I just want to call everyone's attention to this sign right here. It says text coal ash. Please do that. By texting coal ash, you're going to be signing automatically signing a petition that's going to go to the DEQ pertaining to everything we're talking about. Up next is Charles Holland. And Charles is a volunteer with the Fitness Warrior program and is currently working with organizers to facilitate transportation of water and other crucial supplies to residents of Flint, Michigan. This is really important work, and we feel really honored to have him here today.
Yo, yo. All right, real quick. Today I want to talk about the power of thought. It's the power of thought that actually brought everybody here today. And it's that same power of thought that 3 weeks ago, while researching issues of Flint, Michigan, or that are happening in Flint, Michigan right now, that spawned our Richmond to Flint initiative. I was working at my computer, going through Twitter feeds, checking out newsreels about the situation in Flint, Michigan, and I was just compelled to do something. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to help. I wanted to act. So I wanted to take that thought and make it action. As soon as I had that thought, a friend of mine reached out to me, my partner actually, KJ Cook, and he asked me to make a flyer. He had the same thought. We put our two thoughts together, and we made something happen. This was a Friday. By Saturday, we had our donation sites set. We had our GoFundMe pretty much out there. We started working. They're leveraging social media, getting the word out to the people. The snowstorm hit that Monday and that Tuesday. By Wednesday, we got our first donations. To speed it up a little bit, by that Friday, we had collected $2,500 and was able to fill, two 20-foot U-Haul trucks with about 600 cases of water. So while rallies and protests are wonderful, it's action that really makes things happen. And I just wanted to tell that story because I'm just a regular guy. You know, I'm not affiliated with any kind of organization. I just saw a need and jumped on it. You know, my brother, he saw the need and he jumped on it, and we made it happen. We currently have a couple of things going on right now. There's a student by the name of Jason Smart out of Virginia Union University who's planning to make another trip to Flint, Michigan on February 29th. We're partnering up with Hip Hop for Flint, which will be a concert, a nationwide event. Details will be coming out pretty soon. Please pay attention to the NoACP website and the Facebook page. And also our ongoing initiatives. This is eco-racism. This is a form of ethnic cleansing if I've ever seen it. I mean, we have a population, a city that's populated with about 102,000 people. 56% of the population are African Americans, and the average median income for the entire city or for those households is about $25,000. So that's poverty. That's a level of poverty that's not seen or that's far too often seen these days. And this is something that we definitely have to step forward and lend a hand. It could be anything. You know, you can visit our GoFundMe website, RVA to Flint, make a small donation. Every little bit helps. And like I said earlier, you could be a regular person and make extraordinary things happen. Thank you.
All right. Wrong one. Not yet. I think we got it. All right. So, just to let y'all know, we have some beautiful signs and stuff up here. We've got some banners. We've got these umbrellas. This is all for people to grab if you don't have props or signs or anything like that. Also, if you haven't had received a information sheet for the day, I believe we still have some sitting up here on the bench. We also have some fact sheets on coal ash and the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. So feel free to grab some of that. It's got the march route and everything on it, information for the day and the next steps that we'll be talking about with our speakers and as we go. So next, I want to introduce Drew Gallagher. He's a field organizer with Chesapeake Climate Action Network. He's a Richmond native, and he works to combat climate change in Virginia, specifically against the unprecedented expansion of frack gas pipelines proposed for the state. So let's introduce him, everyone.
Hey y'all. First, can we just give it up for everybody that helped to organize this incredible event? This is such a thank you to all of you driving across our state to come together for something bigger than all of us. My name is Drew Gallagher. I grew up in Richmond, Virginia. I work for the Chesapeake Climate Action Network. We are a group that fights climate change in Maryland and Virginia. So that means that I deal with one company a lot. Our state's biggest climate polluter, Dominion Power. So when I think of Dominion, I think of a company that's really good at two things. I think of a company that's really good at finding anything and everything they can to stick their name on, including, ironically, a festival designed to celebrate life on a river that they want to dump hundreds of millions of gallons of toxic coal ash into. I also think of a company that's really, really good at giving money to politicians. I think of a company that is the #1 campaign contributor to everyone that works in that building, no matter which side of the aisle you're on. So when you have this company injecting millions of dollars into our General Assembly, you have to look around and ask yourself, why does North Carolina have the 4th largest solar industry in the U.S.? And why is Virginia's 30th? Is it because none of you all like solar? No. Right. It's because every piece of legislation that goes through that building that's designed to move us towards a clean and renewable future that harms Dominion's bottom line gets killed. And I don't say that to make y'all despondent. I say it to make you angry because we need to fix it now. Yeah. And the General Assembly deserves a lot of the blame, but there's somebody else that lives on the other side of this hill right here that also deserves our attention. Governor McAuliffe. Yeah. So I remember when Governor McAuliffe ran for office in 2013, he was going to be a green governor. He wanted renewable energy, he wanted to fight climate change and save the environment. What happened? Nothing. That's right, because every opportunity he has had to stand with us instead of Dominion, he has failed us on. He has chosen to stand with Dominion in spite of us. He chose to stand with Dominion CEO Tom Farrell and announce his support for the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. He chose to support offshore drilling. He has bragged about lobbying the EPA to reduce our state's Clean Power Plan obligations. He wants our state that has a coastline being eroded away by sea level rise to not have to cut as much carbon. And it's time for Governor McAuliffe to stand with us and not Dominion. He has an opportunity here to design a clean power plan that will move us towards a renewable future and away from fossil fuels. But that's not what Dominion wants. So it's time for Governor McAuliffe to do the right thing, pass a state plan that's going to reduce our carbon emissions, withdraw support from the Atlantic Coast Pipeline, withdraw support from offshore drilling, find out why the hell David Paler for 8 months didn't know that coal ash was dumped into Quantico Creek when Dominion tells us 2 weeks ago it was, and it's time to dump Dominion! Let's dump Dominion and move our state forward. Thank you. 38470, because as Charles said earlier, rallies are great, but today is not the end. Today is the beginning. It's what we do from here and how we collectively move forward and take back our General Assembly. And it starts so that we can all stay in touch. So sign this petition and let's dump Dominion. Thank you.
I think it's really cool. You're stepping up. So intersections of African American history, visual culture, and social justice and community building. Take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out. It's good to see the community power here. Thank you to the organizers, as well as the speakers. I'm not as tall as Charles or Brent, but I'll do my best to be seen. I want to start off by saying the constellations of oppression in our society depend on the ethics of domination and neglect passed down through the generations from land-owning whites of the 15th century to today's corporate CEOs and politicians whose power grows from social inequality and environmental degradation. Communities of color, frontline communities, and poor communities are the most affected by their negligence. They were the first to drown in New Orleans, the first to suffer in Warren County, the first to see how community and ecology are deeply connected while the Gulf was tarnished with oil. They were first dead in Mississippi. These communities must suffer because of white supremacy, classism, materialism, and misogyny. The drinking from contaminated rivers in Flint came out of histories of racism, redlining, disenfranchisement, and disinvestment. Oppression permeates our society. It's in our water. We must accept the dismal fact that our nation suffers from a bourgeois environmentalism. Sustainability is not for the poor black. It is not for the poor white. It is not for the poor Hispanic. It is not for the American Indian whose ancestors were poisoned by militaristic savages. Sustainability is not for the Cambodian American in food deserts of Compton whose ancestors fled because of American hubris overseas. It is not, sustainability is not for the young girl in Gilpin Court with a goiter on her neck. These people have not seen the benefits of sustainability. They struggle to heat their homes, to find affordable food, to drink safe water, to find reliable transportation, while the bourgeois take trips to breweries across the land and ride in Teslas. We are not fighting just an old fight. We are fighting now a new fight. New modern systems of domination overlaid onto historical systems which have left horrid residues on our landscapes and have destroyed generations of minds and of bodies. We are now fighting long-term somatic accumulation of trauma, of stress, of negligence, of pollution, and of pain. Our dominant food systems destroy our bodies. Pollution of waterways, airways, foodways subject our bodies to what Michel Foucault calls life torture, a life of the worst quality of living which will never be escaped. Our struggles against modern oppression cannot succeed until we join together in a deep community of humanity, of reciprocity, and of love for all things on earth. These things, reciprocity, love, community, they are not signs of frailty. They were reprised through a discourse of ecofeminism, but are our oldest tools of survival. Let us brush away the ideologies of division and see that a healthy community must have no color, it must have no class, it must have no sex, it must have all colors, all classes, and all sexes. A healthy community must see its leadership from all places, physical or mental. White man cannot sit in these offices and determine the fate of all of our people and all of our communities any longer. Hell yeah! We must build a a sense of belonging beyond constructs of identity and beyond bourgeois ideals. As Bell Hooks states, without an ethic of love beyond our own personal struggles, we are all surely doomed. Our pursuits of social equality have always been bound to a love for justice, for ourselves, for other people, and for our earth. In fact, for centuries, communities of color and the poor have been oppressed through this ethic of domination. But these communities have always tapped into traditions of resistance as we do today. From struggles of indigenous people to fish and hunt on their own land, to the Battle of Blair Mountain and the whites of Appalachia, to the marches led by Fannie Lou Hamer of the Civil Rights Movement, to the black resistance of Warren County in 1983, we have fought environmental oppression. From the first Earth Day in 1970, which we heard today, to the People's Climate March a year ago, we have shown that to struggle in righteousness is our tradition. All right, so today we stand in that tradition. We are holding corporations and governments accountable for the degradation of communities and of environment. We will shine light on the accumulated costs and the embedded destruction of greed and capitalism. The inhalation of coal dust, the drinking of leaded water is on their tab. The destroyed mines, homes, and economies of communities of color and of communities of poor folk and of communities of the conscious is on their tab. They must pay the human cost. We stand here to say that we will oppose environmental degradation and community degradation in any sense, by any means. We are not asking. We cannot afford another Flint. We cannot afford another Katrina. We cannot afford another Potomac spill. We cannot afford another Warren. We will not allow the souls of our ancestors to drown away in neglect and injustice as our children are poisoned by coal ash. We must stand together in the tradition of ecofeminism to destroy hierarchies and move into a period of eco-equality. We are not asking for coal ash to stay out of Virginian waters. We are demanding that our waterways are safe and clean forever. Thank you.
He's a professor and he's going to be speaking on eco-racism. So everyone get him around.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Awesome. So one of the many hats that I wear is as an environmental sociologist. But today, I want to talk to you about... Can you hear me? Okay. So today, I want to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about, and that's environmental justice. When we're thinking about pollution and things like that Dominion is causing, we also need to sort of, and I think people here really do get this, that there's a lot of intersections between environmental issues and social issues, between environmental injustices and social injustices. When you think about Dominion power, for example, you have to sit back and look at the amount of power that they have here in the state of Virginia. They are literally a monopoly, and they are a monopoly in multiple dimensions. They are a monopoly in terms of energy, they are a monopoly in terms of the politics they influence, and they are a monopoly in general on how they impact people's lives. So if you think about the fact that Dominion is the largest non-party donor to the General Assembly in Virginia, that means that they have an enormous influence on the process by which the laws that regulate them are propagated. So there are serious questions of justice here. I mean, the fact that you all are all out here today shows that people do really care about this. And we have these decisions that are being made that don't seem to reflect the desires or the will of the people who our leaders are supposed to be accountable to. But right here today, as you look around, this is where power comes from. It doesn't come from up somewhere and down. You all have power, and you all are the source of power. You have to remember that. So today, as we're walking, remember you're connected to much larger issues. And this right here is really amazing. I really want people to sit back and really appreciate what has happened here. This is an awesome display. There's really awesome energy in the air. I think everybody's feeling it right now. And I just want to say that to keep in mind that when we're very concerned about the pollution and the political domination by Dominion, but that also these two things are very much intertwined. So the fact that what we see going on with the dumping of toxic waste, with the refusal of Dominion to take renewable energy seriously, these also reflect extreme political injustices, not just environmental inconveniences, but the fact that these are things that people don't want, and they happen anyways. So today, just as we're all here, I want you all to just be aware of how much power you have, and that power comes from the ground up. It doesn't come from leaders, it doesn't come from elite groups. It really starts on the ground with people like you. So I just want everyone to go with that spirit in mind. Thank you very much.
And horticulturalist activist, and we'll be speaking about outrage, which is awesome because we should all be pretty outraged. So. Outrage!
I'm from Mosby, Maryland, at Cove Point, where Dominion is building an LNG factory, refinery. They're going to be getting frack gas from all around the eastern coast. They're the reason why all these pipes are being built. They're the reason we're going to have 20.5 tons of emissions, toxic and hazardous emissions, coming out of Cove Point, which was once a bucolic, lovely Western Shores, Chesapeake Bay Shores community. I get your outrage because I am totally pissed. This is just so wrong to just take advantage of people and dump. We're all like a pot of simmering water, and we're coming up to a rapid boil. And I think that's really good. I love seeing all these little kids here. They're absolutely adorable. And they're our future. Be outraged. Thanks.
Big thank you to all of our speakers. We love and appreciate each and every one of you. Stephen is going to go over that one sheet with the map on it.